on the quotes that are sent round. Because Andy's proposal doesn't give a different, I don't think, unless I misheard it, doesn't give a different procedure for actually allowing the work to go ahead, approving the work to go ahead. So if the information, just so I'm clear in what's being said, if the quotes are sent round to councillors, it's for information only. It won't affect a decision made this evening. Is that correct?
Yes, that's how I understand it.
Yeah, I did wonder if we should say that we have to have 3.
So it's like a condition of three quotations, and plus for transparency, all councillors being copied into into those quotations. And is that clear to all councillors, that amendment? Yeah. Can I get a seconder then for Sean seconding? Okay, so if there's no more comments on that item, I'll move to a vote then. So votes in favour.
Are we voting on the amendment?
We're voting on the amendment, yes.
Okay.
So voting on the amendment that's just been posed, that's 3 quotes. Sorry, go on.
For clarity, could you just, what was it? What can you read out the amendment?
No, I didn't actually write it down, but it's delegated provided there are 3 quotes for the F&G group to select from, and that those quotes have been shared with the other councillors to enable comment but not decision.
So just to sort of like add that, so the current agenda item is to consider for approval delegated powers to the Finance and General Purposes Committee to review and approve quotations at the July meeting for a replacement roof at Bell Lane Community Centre to avoid delay over the summer break. Funds up to 30,000 previously earmarked from general reserves to that. And the amendment could be that sorry, go on. Yeah, go on.
I have 3 quotes, and I'm happy that as a professional courtesy to make sure everyone's emailed. If obviously it's important to have it in writing, I can just do that as standard practice.
If you've already got 3, I think that's fine.
And then it can be proposed and seconded on
the actual.
But that's up to you, Chair.
I'll just bring Sarah in.
I just want to make comment on this. I mean, Gemma did say earlier she's got 3 quotes, and for us to add an amendment to this to say, provided we have 3 quotes, I think is a professional discourtesy to our clerk, really, who's told us we've got 3 quotes. So that's my view on it. That's my view on that aspect of it. We've been told we've got 3 quotes. I've got full confidence in the clerk, therefore I don't see any need to have an amendment that said, provided that we've got 3 quotes, because we've been told we've got 3 quotes.
Yes. Thank you. And Gemma has just said that she will circulate that.
I didn't know until that point.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Of
I
course.
do understand it's a lot of money and this is not usual to put it on the agenda. It's me trying to do everything.
checks and balances.
And thank you, Sarah, as well.
Excuse me, I'm away. No, it's okay. Close the door.
I'm about to do that. So, Andy, in terms of the based on what Gemma said, is that okay to just go around? Are we all happy? So the amendment's withdrawn? Yeah, and Sean, are you happy for that to be withdrawn? Are we all happy with that? So we're just going back to the main agenda point. Yes, that's okay. And Gemma's given a word that will be circulated and there's already 3 quotes. Yeah. Okay, so can I get votes in favour of item 10 then, to delegate responsibility? We've got a full house. Thank you very much. Excellent. Okay. Item 11. To consider for approval delegated power to the Finance and General Purposes Committee to review and approve quotations at the July meeting for the office restructure at Bell Lane Community Centre to avoid delay over the summer break. Funds of up to 2,500 previously earmarked from general reserves.
Is it easy for me to give an overview first?
Yeah, if you give an overview first,
If
I
that's
think that might
okay,
help.
so thank you.
Thank you.
So again, the summer is our quietest period because we get a lot of user groups that break up for the summer as well, so we haven't got as many room bookings. Simply this year just ran out of time, and trying to get it all done for this meeting has been quite a tough one. Where the roof's quite simple, it's 3 quotes, it's somebody that's coming out to the roof. The office is a little bit different. So for any of you that have visited the office, you will know that previously it did used to be one big room, but over the years some partition walls have been popped in. There's a little office to the front, and there's I call it a larger office, but it isn't much larger, and anyone that's been in, I suppose the one that pops to mind is Susie for the internal checks. You know how small that space is. At the moment, we currently have a member of staff when she's in that sits in a little room at a desk that is not fit for purpose, on a chair that's not fit for purpose, and we need to do something to open it up. So we did think about lots of different scenarios, using the room opposite over the other side, but that obviously takes away space for room hire. So we think that the best thing would be is to remove the partition walls that are currently in the office. That would have it as an open plan office, and then we would look to get a bank of desks in the middle rather than the oversized furniture that we've currently got that's too big for the room anyway. So what we're actually looking at doing is removing 2 partition walls. There would be some repair to the ceiling that would be needed for the gap. It would need a new carpet, a lick of paint, bits and pieces like that. So it's not going to cost lots, but because of the work that's needed, each item would be low amounts in value, so it would just be a case of giving me the delegated authority, and I would automatically check it with John being the next builder, if that's okay with council, to make sure that what I'm doing is cost effective for spending public money, but also what's right for our staff team to be safe at work to perform their tasks.
I think we'll do a bit of air conditioning there as well.
If I can get it for 2,500, yes, if not, it will be on the agenda, because it is very warm. Thank you.
Any other comments on that following Gemma's update? Okay, I'll move to item 11, so in terms of a proposal then please for that. Nathan proposing, John seconding. Can we get votes in favour of them please, of delegating powers for reorganisation of the office?
I'm going to minute chair that I will speak to Councillor Banners on, if that's okay.
Sure, that's fine. Okay, item 12 then. Previously deferred, so this is to do with the 12.1 is to do with the recommended financial regulations from NELC. So to consider for adoption the 2024 recommended financial regulations. Is there any information on that?
The only thing I would say is having 12 months service. In terms of the financial side, I literally just play it to the book because that's the best way of doing it. These are the latest now model financial regulations. So in terms of me having the experience right now to go through these and say, well actually we should do it this way or this way, I'm not in a position to do. So these are as they've come. I haven't put any recommendations in, and if accepted in the current condition, that would be my starting point then moving forward as I learn more about the role. If we needed to tweak them, the non-mandatory items, if I needed to tweak them specific for Ackworth Parish Council. So they are as they come.
Okay. Any comments from councillors then?
So what are they replacing? So just the earlier version of the same back?
I don't know from the earlier version what council might have made customised at Ackworth Parish Council along the years.
Yeah, can I get a proposal then please? Andy proposing. Seconder then please for the adoption. Ian seconding. Can I get votes in favour of adopting the new recommendations from NELC financial regulations? Full votes. Thank you. 12.2, to appoint any new committees or proposed changes to existing committees, including any restructure of the current setup. This was deferred from the last meeting, and we have the diagram. I think one of the things from the last meeting, I think we'd just like an update, a summary, some comments on that if you may, Jan, please.
Yes, that's okay. So obviously I did plan to be at the last meeting, so I appreciate this has been deferred and now it's mixed with other items that have been deferred, so apologies that the pack was probably slightly confusing this month. I think what's really important to stress at the beginning is our current structure is fit for purpose, it's lawful, it's usable. It's just that with a fresh new set of eyes, I can see that over the years bits have been bolted on. So all I've simply done is looking at from a staff viewpoint of how we can streamline, how we produce packs and send them out and then write minutes up. And then obviously we were fortunate enough to have full council training from YLCA, and I've been fortunate enough to then use Karen as a mentor to have a look at our existing structure and to have their viewpoint, who deal with lots of councils across Yorkshire. They've given me a little bit more guidance of what we could do as Ackworth Parish Council to streamline it a little bit more, to be more efficient in the processing but be more efficient from the staff side on resource. So what I've included in the pack is where you can see the current structure. So you can see at the moment we've got 6 what you would class as standing committees, and then from the standing committees you can see that we've got a number of working groups and subcommittees. So that's how it is currently today. If council decide to stay with that, I will obviously work to that. On the second page of that, I've looked to take on board feedback and obviously, like I say, listen to YLCA. And what YLCA have basically said is that clerks can sometimes suffer death by meeting. And what they mean by that is you are that busy prepping for the next meeting, making sure the agendas are sent out in time, making sure all the packs are sent out in time to then write the meeting minutes up. And it can just be sort of a hamster wheel of just going around that cycle and not actually getting the actions done. What they recommend is that the standing committees are anything that deal with anything on a lawful basis. So again, council can structure it however they want, but this is their recommendation. So they've said that public money, finance, that's law, so you would have that as a standing committee. Personnel, employment law, that's law, you'd have that as a standing committee. And ours is called Environment, Road Safety and Planning, but planning is the law one in there, so you'd have that as a standing committee. What they've then said is everything else in their mind as best practice would drop down a level and either be a subcommittee or a working group. So under the finance and general purpose, and I obviously appreciate that would be heavy on that section and we could move them around. But because village amenities is finance based, you put it under F&GP, the same with village events and the same as allotments. Allotments could go under environment, it could sit under that one, so that's an option if that's too heavy. And then the only other thing that I've done is looking at the agendas over the past 12 months, there is literally nothing on our communication agenda that village events couldn't deal with. It's been in the main, the newsletter, which village events deal with part of that anyway in terms of the content. We haven't had anything else, and we do have a strong social management plan in place that deals with press releases, social media, website updates, things like that, so we would retain that and that would stay in place anyway to deal with things like that. The only other thing to mention here is I've merged the separation of Low Ackworth and Ackworth Parish so that we would just have one group that deals with community centres, and obviously that would be as long as what we've got that outstanding action for, because once that closes that group would go the same as the Gala Parade for 2025. Once that's dealt with, that would go anyway, that working group. And then standalone currently we have a freedom of information panel. So what I would be looking to do, and you see this more so in the corporate world, you would have a standalone review panel that's appointed by the council that reports directly into the council that would then come into play as and when you need them. So if there is an escalation in complaints, they would review that and report to the council. If there's an escalation in a freedom of information request, they could even deal with, if you push it one further, they could deal with disciplinaries and things like that where you need someone independent to come into that process. I think I've explained everything on the sheet, but I'm prepared obviously for questions on that.
I open that to the floor then to councillors. Are there any, I'm imagining there will be comments, I'd be surprised if it would. Lydia?
I'm not intentional with this, is the first thing. So, for instance, the Finance and General Purposes Committee, will these other groups below it then all report to it rather than the full council, and its report will come to the full council, which may or may not have bits of that in?
Yes, so the subcommittees would be in report form with their findings, and then FNGP would make recommendations to full council.
As part of their minutes?
As part of their minutes, yeah. So everything would be minuted through, but it's FNGP that take their recommendations through to full council.
Any other comments?
I think the,
Andy, yeah?
well, the other one is what the one that emailed to Gemma about representation, because it was questioning, in case anybody hadn't seen it, questioning whether you'd have to be on F&GP to be on a subcommittee or working group relating to it. And Gemma said, as worded, the terms of reference are that they are. I think the difficulty I see in that is that means a few councillors have to commit to a lot.
Yes.
And a few councillors don't have an ability to help out on that.
I mean, ultimately that decision does fall to the council. So we can basically say that, okay, village amenities might report to F&GP, but could open it to the all councillors.
I absolutely see the logic in what you recommended. Everybody is, but in a pure logistical sense, there's where I'm hoping got some contribution up in house, but I haven't got time to commit to all of those. And it's a big time commitment for a few people, and then you might have to call it and all sorts of things.
Jeremy,
so I completely understand that point, and that's part of the challenge in having the stuff ready for a pack. So the terms of reference were done for the May meeting on the old structure, which has said a parent would be, and obviously the new structure come through in June, so I absolutely expected that might be one question.
Okay.
So the answer to that question is the answer to that question that membership, councillors elected to village amenities, village events, allotments, community centres, Gala Parade, all those bodies can come from the full body of the council, not just from the members of the F&GP.
That's a decision.
That's a decision, right? Okay.
That's a decision that the council can make. You can make it one way or the other, essentially.
So it's simply a matter of changing the terms of reference.
On the next agenda item.
So you need a proposal now that...
Well, we don't have to, because I understand that this is like quite a big sort of shake-up, so I have sort of like already had like a bit of a discussion with Gemma on this item. So one thing I did sort of like think we could do is if we could have a review of how we might want to, because I think as councillors we want to make sure that we're helping the office in terms of preparation and not creating work for the sake of making a lot of work. If we can streamline things as much as possible, but also meet the requirements of representation, making the decisions properly, I think that we could have comments sent through to the clerk regarding what we think the structure should be, and I think we should set a deadline at the end of July for that. Would that be fair enough? I'll ask you whether the office could sort of like, if all comments were put in by the end of July, and then that allowed the office to take all those comments from councillors and then come back with an alternative, not necessarily an alternative, but taking on board the review of councillors for the September meeting. That's one thing I was thinking about. It's just a thought process, isn't it?
So if we have this structure, but these committees below F&GP could have anybody in, would that reduce your load?
The membership wouldn't make any difference to me, it's the structure that makes
so this structure with that freedom of people, because I personally think having to have everybody, all the F&GP people on these things.
No, of course.
I suppose almost
I'll just bring, can I bring Sarah first and then I'll bring you down? Thank you.
If we go ahead with what you propose, Martin, which is, I'm just making it clear I understood correctly, that we look at this now, we've heard the rationale for it, that we go away, what I think you're suggesting, I'm perhaps putting words into your mouth, you're suggesting we have time to think about it, we send our views to Gemma.
Yeah.
And then, but if we do that, we cannot therefore do item 12.5, can we, on this agenda? We'd have to defer that to.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would
Okay.
be.
Okay.
Sorry,
can I just add to that?
Sorry, yeah.
So can I suggest then that if we do agree with Martin's suggestion, that we can, from this evening, just for the short term, just to give our new councillors aid, so they don't have to wait till after September to be fully involved, that we do fill some of the vacant places left by, well, there's none left by Councillor Marshall because she wasn't on any committees, but committee spaces left by former Councillor Galvin, that we fill those temporarily tonight, and then, you know, once we've agreed the new structure and approved it, we then do the whole committees and subcommittees and working groups. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so ask full council then in terms, so the vacancies that are available currently under the current structure, if we agree to fill those current vacancies and we can review this over the summer, sending comments by the end of July through to the office to Gemma, and then we can make a full decision on this in the September meeting. So with that, does that work for all councils?